guys. Hi guys. Thank you to be here to join the Scuderia Tauri presentation. I'm Maddalena Chierici, HR manager of the team. In my role, I'm responsible for the HR support for all team departments, and these include HR management, team performance improvement, organizational changes, etc. I'm here to tell you something more about the company and about our post-graduation program. After me, my colleague Daniele Busato, Senior Vehicle Dynamics Engineer, will show you an overview of the process from the idea of a F1 car to a race weekend management. I start saying sorry. I'm not used to have this presentation virtually. I do prefer live discussion. But the last 2 years bring us, all of us, to change our habits. I like live discussion also because I always start with a question. What do you know about Scuderia Tauri? Please trust me. In years I've heard many answers. Once I've been told we work with horses. Fortunately, most of the time I have sensible answers. But always with the feeling that people know just a little part of our company. And my aim today is to put the puzzle together and give you an overview as much clear as possible. What I mean with pieces of puzzle, some examples. Everyone knows we are connected with Red Bull. Well, in which way? We are Scuderia Tauri, but 2 years ago we were Scuderia Toro Rosso. Why this change? Are we an Italian team, an Austrian team, or an English team? I really would like to have your live answer, but you're lucky. So I will try to give you the answer. Red Bull. The beverage company is our parent company. Scuderia Tauri is a Red Bull Group company, but it is an Italian team. Red Bull invests a lot as partner in individual sport and team sport. Scuderia Tauri and Red Bull Racing are the two F1 teams of the Red Bull Group. So we are separated, but obviously we have technical collaboration within the limit described by the F1 regulation, as happened for other teams. But we are united by the same philosophy and the same values. Then, of course, during the race, we are competitors. Why Scuderia Tauri? Please pay attention. Tauri is the fashion brand of Red Bull Group, founded on 2016. Scuderia Tauri is the F1 team. Tauri brand desired to focus on engineering unique and innovative fashion technologies, building a new kind of fashion that enriches body and mind. Innovation, technology, and style are the main future of F1, a sport in which body and mind must always be at their best. On 2019, we started this new partnership, and this is the reason of the change of name. The brand name is in honor of the Alpha Tauri star, the brightest star in the constellation of the Taurus, the bull again. A bit of history. I promise you just a bit. On 2005, Red Bull acquired the Italian Formula One team Minardi, and Scuderia Toro Rosso was born. In 2008, the first F1 victory with Sebastian Vettel in Monza. Please believe me, it was an incredible moment. But I think that the most important here in our history, it has been 2010 when we become an independent constructor team and we started our new challenge. With Rising Star as driver, we grow up as team. And on 2019, we are back on the podium with Dani Kvyat in the German GP and with Pierre Gasly in the Brazilian GP. Then, on 2020, we win again with Pierre and again in Monza. As you can understand, we really love Monza. Now, the season is giving us a lot of gratification with Pierre and with Yuki Tsunoda, our new bull. Some number about the company. The staff is more than 500. We are in Faenza, Italy, where we have our headquarters, and in UK, in Bicester, where we have our aerodynamics department. We have 35 different nationalities who work together daily. Women are the 20% of the staff, and I'm sure we are going to grow up in the next year. The average age is the 34, a very, very young team. But the question is, which is the mission of all these people? Why are they in the team? First of all, successfully fight in the front part of the midfield. And this is what we are doing right now. Promoting Alpha Tauri brand. As we said before, we are partners and we want to grow up together. And last but not least, educating young Red Bull drivers. I want to underline the last point. For us, it's very, very important to recognize, attract, and develop the rising star of tomorrow. With Red Bull Young Driver Program, we work hard for giving wings to outstanding talent. And I think we can say we are doing a good job. Verstappen, Vettel, Richard, Sainz, Gasly are names you can hear very, very, very often during the race weekend. Following these results, some years ago, we said, but if we do that with young drivers, why we don't do that with young talented with the dream of a career in Formula One? And the Talent Factory was born. Our milestone in Red Bull Group companies and in Scuderia Tauri, we believe in meaning, mastery, freedom, and responsibility. People must have the opportunity of doing work that matters, work that have a direct impact on the company goals. And they must have the possibility to realize their own potential in the workplace. In which way? They are free to find their way, but they have the responsibility of their results. If they agree in doing that, we give them the best environment, the best tools, the best coaches they can have to support their growth. What does the company do to attract talent and realizing potential? We have onboarding and talent acquisition program and continual improvement paths, managerial training for other departments, senior and new managers, performance development program and processes, team learning, individual learning, induction programs, and our academies that I really hope some of you could consider as interesting. What is Formula Future Academy? It is Scuderia AlphaTauri graduate program to identify young talent. We have advanced engineering program in UK and in Italy. We have advanced manufacturing program in Italy, where we have production, and we have advanced racing program for race team mechanics. Formula Future is a specific 12-month training and a work experience in an F1 environment, in Faenza or in Whistler. 12 months in which trainees are under contract with Scuderia Tauri. Every year, we recruit 30 engineers, 35 technicians, and a changeable number of mechanics who start the program in general on June. The most requested master degrees are aerospace, aeronautical, automation, materials engineering, mathematics, vehicle dynamics, electronic, computer science, marketing, and communication. And just as example, Formula Future from Engineering Academy, hired at the end of the program, are now part of our team as race engineer, R&D engineer, designer, surfacer, electronic engineer, aerodynamicist, CFD, production planner, process engineer, buyer, lead buyer. I think it's a big opportunity, and going through the details, you can see that employment opportunity after our work experience at Scuderia Alfa Tauri are very concrete. The 53% has been hired permanently in Scuderia Alfa Tauri. The 21% has been hired permanently in other teams. 16% in automotive motorsport companies, and the 10% in other business. I'm very proud of this program, and I'm sure it's a big opportunity if you want to start a career in Formula 1 or in motorsport in general. But of course, this opportunity is not for free. We want something back. What we do expect from you, and more, what we do expect from every employee of Scuderia Alfa Tauri. The answer is a question again, because we want that every day entering the factory gate, everyone makes this question to himself. How can I make the car faster? This is the central point. Every role can contribute to gain 1/10 of a second, and we want everyone realize his potential and obtain his best performance to make the car faster. Thank you for your attention, and now my colleague Daniele Busato will tell you something more about how to make the car faster from the technical side. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Daniele Busato, and I'm working in Scuderia Alfa Tauri as a Senior Vehicle Dynamics Engineer within the Vehicle Performance Group. Today, I'd like to give you a quick overview on how a Formula 1 car is developed, designed, and managed at the track. Here is a brief summary of the main topics that we will cover in this presentation, that are car development, a general overview, Aero Development Groups, Design Office, Vehicle Performance Group, Formula One Car Management on Track. Let's start to have a look on the car development and general overview. The very first step to develop the Formula One car is a sort of brainstorming, where the main player like Vehicle Performance Group, Design Office, Aero Performance Group, and Concept Design try to highlight the strongest and the weakest points of the current car. Further, they need to consider also all the constraints imposed by the FIA regulation for the next year car. In the second phase, considering all these feedbacks and information, the Aero department starts to study the possible solutions for the aero surfaces of the new car. These solutions are then tested virtually by the CFD group, Computational Fluid Dynamics, and if the results are showing a good potential, the next step is to test the same solution at the wind tunnel. If the wind tunnel is confirming the CFD results, the Aero department can share this new solution with Design Office and VPG, Vehicle Performance Group. Otherwise, a different solution will be investigated. Obviously, among Design Office, Vehicle Performance Group, and the Aero department, there is a continuous data exchange with the target to improve as much as possible the next year car performance. After this phase, the Vehicle Performance Group can start to work with the new aero map available to evaluate the car performance by offline simulations. If the offline simulations are showing some good results, that solution can be tested at the simulator to close the loop with the real driver feedback. In parallel, Design Office starts to design details the solution prepared by the Aero department. Then, the Research and Development department within the Design Office will do the proper structural analysis, and in case of positive results, the component will be built by our production department. Any component of the car has to be tested and controlled to be sure that the component is respecting our quality standards, and then it has to be validated with several stress tests and crash tests, for example, especially for the nose, side impact structure, and rear impact structure. In case of negative response, the Design Office has to review the design of the component. Otherwise, the component will receive the green light for the track usage. Of course, this is only a generic overview of the entire process. In the real world, it can be much more complicated than this simple scheme. Going a little bit more in detail, the aero development work is covered by three main groups. The front group generate most of the front load, move the wheel wakes outward, cool down the brakes, and manage the tire temperature. The mid group has to define the vortex structures under the floor, control tire wakes, cool down the power unit, and optimize cooler tanks for water, oil, and air. The last one, the rear group, has to maximize the rear load, cool down the brakes, and manage the tire temperatures. As we have seen in the general overview, the Design Office is one of the main players for a Formula One car development. So let's see how it is organized. Within the Design Office, the roles are defined according to the several developing areas of the car. The first one is car system, which includes, for example, cooling system, fuel system, and power unit installation. The next area, electronics, includes all the wiring, sensors, and control units installation. Then we have the chassis group that covers all the process to develop and design the survival cell respecting the homologation standards. Further, it is responsible for the several chassis installation like bodywork interfaces, suspension installation, and radiator duct installation. Then another important topic for the chassis group is the driver ergonomics. That includes the design of the seat cradle, the race seat, the headrest padding, the leg padding, and the mirrors. Wings, obviously, is responsible for the front and the rear wings design. Gearbox and Hydraulics group is responsible for the design and installation of the gearbox and all the hydraulic system. Bodywork group is responsible for the engineering of the aero surfaces like engine cover, dashboard, floor, T-tray, internal bodywork, heat shields. Then the next one is the brake ducts group, which is responsible for the design and installation of the several brake blanking configurations. And last but not least, the suspension and driver controls group, which is responsible for the design, development, and the management of the front and the rear suspension, driver pedals, brakes and throttle, steering wheel, and steering column system, including also the steering assistance. Further, the design office supports also external activities like the study of new concept solution, the stress analysis, material engineering, and all the activity for the research and development test lab. The main targets of the DO, the design office, are to achieve the design performance inputs, check the legality, the safety, and the reliability of the car, issue the instruction for car management, and define a development program to try to improve the car performance during the season. Clearly, there are two main constraints: the technical regulation imposed by the FIA and the deadlines to get the car ready in time. Honestly, any year they seem to be even more tight. It's reasonable to say that a standard process to develop and produce a Formula One car should follow this step: planning, concept design, power unit integration, layout definition, design loads analysis, packaging, weight distribution, and the last one, the final design. Another main player for a Formula One car development is the Vehicle Performance Group. Similar to Design Office, under the Vehicle Performance Group there are several groups. We can start from Vehicle Dynamics, responsible for brakes and power unit analysis, handling behavior of the car, simulation, and car testing. Then we have Tire Engineering Group, responsible for the tire behavior analysis and tire management at the track. The next one, Simulation and Software, responsible for the maintenance and development of all the software and tools used by the all groups. Strategy Group, responsible for sure for the strategy analysis at the track, and then to develop the new methodology to analyze the strategy. The last one, Race Engineering Group, responsible for the car management and performance at the track. Vehicle Performance Group mission is to optimize the car performance in short, medium, and long term. Short terms means car engineering at the track, strategy, simulation, and data analysis. Medium terms means car development during the season and methodology improvement. Long terms means next year car definition. Again, the vehicle performance responsibility is to create specification for several areas of the chassis performance, manage the cars, drivers, and car crews during running time, monitor the competitor performance, and develop methodology and software for analysis and simulation. An important area covered by Vehicle Performance Group is the car testing. VPG puts a lot of efforts to create, manage, and support several car testing during the season to collect as many experimental data as possible, which are really very useful to understand better the real behavior of the car. The first one is the COG test to evaluate mass, COG coordinates, roll, pitch, and yaw inertia. Then there is the KNC test to evaluate the kinematic and compliant suspension behavior and the installation stiffness values for both front and rear suspension. The next one is the 7 post rig. is useful to define the optimum suspension setup for damping and stiffness, to validate new suspension concept, and for durability and correlation purposes. Another very important test is the brake dyno test that allows us to evaluate the brake duct cooling, to characterize the brake material in terms of friction and wear, to analyze the disc thermal behavior, to validate new concept, and also in this case, for durability and correlation purposes. Finally, there is the simulator, even called driver in the loop, that became really important to training the driver, to prepare the pre-event setup, to develop experimental concept, and to explore some aerosensitivity and more. The last point of our presentation, maybe the most interesting one, is the Formula One car management on track. Three aspects are very important to score as many points as possible during a race weekend. Reliability, to avoid any kinds of car stops on track. Performance analysis, to fine-tuning the car setup and try to improving the performance in both quali and race condition. And then the simulation and correlation, to improve our tools to evaluate and predict the behavior of the car. Let's have a look on how a race weekend is prepared and managed. The first step of a race weekend is to collect all the consideration on several topics. The first one is for sure the downforce level and the power sensitivity. It's possible to define three kinds of tracks: high downforce level and low power sensitivity, like Monaco or, for example, Hungary. The next one, medium downforce level and medium power sensitivity, like Spain and China. And the last one, low downforce level and high power sensitivity, like Italy and Belgium. The next parameter to consider is the heat stiffness, to optimize the ride behavior and or to find the optimum ride height window for the aero. Often it's not possible to find out an optimum setup for both ride and aero at the same time, but it's a good compromise between the two, even if aero is quite always prevalent on the ride. Another parameter to consider is the roll stiffness, which allows to set the mechanical balance of the car. The braking severity of the track is important to select the proper brake cooling configuration. And the last consideration to take into account is for sure the tire compound allocation defined by Pirelli for the event. All these considerations allow us to create a starting setup, setting important parameters like front and rear wings, front flap, aero balance, the ride heights, the weight distribution, the mechanical balance in terms of front aero bar and rear anti-roll bar, the suspension settings like toe, camber, dampers, and the brake blanking configuration. Friday. On Friday is the first running day at the track. We have 2 sessions of free practice. Usually the first section is useful to fine-tuning the starting setup, to check the aero configuration, to check the PU setting, the power unit setting, to evaluate the brake cooling level, and to analyze the tire performance. In the second session, the target is to have a short run to understand better how we behave the car in quality condition, and a long run to simulate a race stint to monitor the fuel consumption, the brakes wear, the tire degradation, and the delta pace due to the tire compound. The driver performance analysis plot that you can see here on the right is a very basic tool, just because only few channels are plotted: gear, speed, steer, throttle, and brake pressure. But it's really powerful for the driver to understand better where he can improve his performance. And even more powerful is the lap compare with the teammate, because having a reference lap is easier to find out the strongest than this to push a Formula 1 driver to make better. On Saturday, there are 2 running sessions. The first one is the last session of free practice, where the driver can evaluate the latest changes made on the car, trying to make it quicker. Obviously, all the changes are based on a deep and detailed analysis on the Friday session data. The second session is the qualifying, clearly the most important one, where engineers, mechanics, and drivers have to be focused on the main target, that is a good placement in Q3. The race engineers will help the drivers to manage traffic, timing, and the strategy for the tire compound. And this last point is quite important. Finally, Sunday. It's clear the most important date of the race weekend. Before the race, usually on Sunday morning, the engineers and the drivers review the strategy plan, the PU management, the power unit management, in terms of engine modes, the tire degradation, and consequently tire management. The live competitor analysis will help us to be more flexible with the race strategy plan, to maximize the final results, and during the race the car will be monitoring live in terms of reliability and performance. But I'd like to go a bit more in detail for a couple of topics of this list. We can start from the power unit. The model power unit is made by the standard internal combustion engine, turbocharger, NGOH, the electrical machine linked to the exhaust, NGK, the electrical machine mechanically linked to the drivetrain, and the energy store pack. As you can see in the simple scheme, the group with energy store, NGOH, and NGK is called energy recovery system, ERS, and for regulation, the energy recovery system has some limitation. The maximum release and recovery power has to be plus minus 120 kilowatts. The maximum energy flow from energy store pack to NGK has to be 4 megajoule per lap, and the maximum energy flow from NGK to energy store pack has to be 2 megajoule per lap. For these reasons, it is important to define the PU strategy. That means to define in which way we want to use the power unit. For example, in quality condition, for the push lap, we can run in full deploy mode, draining almost completely the battery. In race condition, this is not possible. It's not sustainable. So we need to define several engine modes to be able to balance the energy recovery system. The other topic that I wanted to analyze a bit more in detail is the live competitor analysis. Let's start from the radio competitor analysis. As you know, the radio communication between the team and the drivers are open to everybody, so anyone can use this info to understand what the competitor is doing. For example, to modify the pit stop strategy. Then we have the GPS data. The GPS data analysis can help the engineers to understand where the driver is losing or gaining in terms of lap time compared to the others. The timing data analysis is used very often to evaluate the car performance in the several sectors. Doing so is possible to understand in which sector is better to focus the strengths to improve the car. And then, for sure, the video analysis is really helpful to compare the different driving style of the drivers. Coming back now to the race, clearly there is only one target, both cars in the top 10. Just because this is the only way to score points and to keep leading the midfield group. As you can see here in the Constructor Championship standing, the fight in the midfield is pretty tight, so any detail can make the difference and could be fundamental to achieve our seasonal goal, that is P5 in Constructor Championship. But sometimes we have to accept also a different scenario. But maybe it's not so bad, isn't it? Okay, that's it from my side. Thanks a lot for your attention. And right now, we are ready for your question.
So we can see many questions. We can try to resume the answer because I can see you are very interested in our aero department, in our marketing department, and on the opportunity of making your master thesis here in Scuderia. So I start with that. So I start with the opportunity of making your master thesis here. You have a different way. First of all, of course, we have partnership with some institute, and every year we send arguments that they can offer to the student. I'm talking about the Munich University, or for example, Markov, the master on composite materials, but other. And then we take a look of all candidates' proposal. Another way is by Formula Future, because you can apply Formula Future also if you miss less of 5 exams. And so you can start your internship and your contract, but you can also work on your master thesis in the year you are working here. We of course read all proposals we receive via email or via website, but of course we choose just proposal with precise argument with a very detailed project. Of course, if you just write, I want to do my thesis there, of course it will be quite difficult. But if you have a strong project, of course we are very happy to consider it. Other question about marketing department. I can see you are very interested and you're asking how to join our communication and marketing department. Of course, you can have the opportunity to have internship in that department. Formula Future has, of course, it is a way to reach it, but you can also send your application on our website because we open internship position on our web page in the Work With Us page, and every year we have different internship opportunity, and of course also in the marketing department. Other questions are about our aero department. So yes, the aero department is in Vista. So if you want to work strictly in this object, of course, you have to stay in UK. We have colleagues that work in a very close way with our colleague here in Faenza. But yes, that department is in Vista. Which are the master appreciated for that department? Of course, as I said during the presentation, mechanical, aeronautical, mathematics, CFD, computer science. Yeah, I think these are the best. So yeah, the most we have. I want to underline another question that I really like. If you ask me if are more appreciated technical skills or soft skills, of course, both are very, very important. But I do think that you can always learn the technical side of your work. I mean, you must learn every day on the technical side of your work. But soft skills are very, very important. Working here without team working approach, without the capability of working under pressure, or without attention to details, would make your life here very, very difficult. So I think soft skills are very, very important. Just take a look because with a low degree, you're asking me with a low degree which position you can cover. Mine. Or of course also in administration. Yeah, I think most administration and HR department. Which of the team engineers go physically to the race? I think this is for you.
I guess that for sure, race engineer and performance engineer. The race engineer is the only one that can speak to the driver during the running session, for sure, just to avoid misunderstanding with the driver. In collaboration with the race engineer, there is the performance engineer that has to analyze all the data of the car in terms of reliability and performance. And then obviously he needs also to cover all the analysis during the, let's say, driving Friday night, just to understand where we can improve the car. Then at the track we have a tire engineer, for sure is the most important topic, just to understand how he's performing the depth compound at the track. Then we have strategy, obviously, very important role at the track. Hydraulic engineer to take under control all the hydraulic system on the car. Electronics, another important role. And then, yeah, we have here in Faenza, during the operation room, we have all the other engineer, that is vehicle dynamics engineer, simulation software engineer, ride engineer. So we try to be a sort of backup for the people at the time.
I think the last one I want to answer because we always look for talent, and often we say young talent, but we are always looking for talent in general. So if we are 30 or 40 years old, yes, of course, you are welcome. So it's not something connected with the age, but with your talent, your performance, your skills, and we are happy to give the opportunity. So, yeah, I think we answer to all the questions.
Yeah.
Okay. No, okay. Another one, because you are asking us about how to work in Red Bull Racing, and we are sorry we can give you this information. It's been a pleasure to stay with you, and I hope you enjoy it, and see you here in Scuderia Tauri. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye bye.